All right, so today we're going to dive into this really fascinating, kind of mysterious text from the 14th century. It's called The German Theology. And look, it's a pretty short book, but man, does it ask what might be the biggest question of all?
I mean, what's the whole point? What is it all for? Is it just, being a good person? Getting to heaven? Well, this text, it offers a really radical and honestly fascinating answer. And that's what we're going to dig into together.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the ultimate goal, this idea of divine union. Then we'll tackle the path to get there, which is a big one, absolute surrender. After that, we'll see what you're actually supposed to find at the destination. And finally, how all this just completely flips our understanding of something like sin on its head. So yeah, let's start with that goal.
All right, first up, the destination. So what exactly is this divine union that the entire text seems to be built around?
So the big idea here isn't just about, getting close to God, or even just doing what God wants. No, it's about a total merging. Think of it like a river flowing into the ocean. The text talks about the human will literally flowing into the divine will until you can't tell where one begins and the other ends. They become one and the same.
And this is a really, really crucial distinction to make. This isn't about collecting points for good deeds or just checking boxes on a list of rules. It's about a fundamental transformation of who you are. It's a change in your very state of being.
Okay, so if that's the goal, to completely merge with the divine will, then the million-dollar question is, how on earth do you do that? Well, the answer is, in a way, incredibly simple, but also incredibly difficult.
The path is about one thing, absolute surrender. And I've got to stress, the text is not being poetic or metaphorical here. It literally means giving up, everything you think of as you.
I mean, we're talking about letting go of your own wants, your plans for the future, even what you think you know. You give up taking credit for your own actions, your skills, your talents, and ultimately, you have to let go of that core feeling of I, that little voice inside that separates you from everything else. It is a complete and total emptying of the self.
And this is laid out so clearly in the text itself. It says, man shall surrender and give up all things. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. No loopholes. It's just a complete, total release of the reins.
And you can see it right here. The source text is it's totally uncompromising. The author lays it out plain and simple. To get to this union, you've got to surrender it all. Your skills, your actions, your will, so that the self, and this is a direct quote, has nothing to do or to take on. I mean, that is a truly radical idea of self-annihilation, right? So, okay, let's say you do this. You go down this path and you surrender everything that makes you, you. What's left? What do you find on the other side? Do you just become some kind of empty shell? Well, not exactly. This is where the text makes a really fascinating point. See, what we normally think of as goodness is relative, right? It's this good thing versus that bad thing. But the author here argues that God's goodness isn't just another type of good. It is goodness, the real deal, absolute, unconditional, the one single source of everything we could ever possibly call good. And that is the core insight. Our sense of a separate self, that part of us that's always thinking I, me, mine, that's the very thing that acts like a filter, blocking or distorting this one absolute good. So by letting go of the self, you don't become good, you get to experience the only good that actually exists in the first place. Okay, so once you start thinking this way, about one absolute good and the need to surrender the self, it completely changes the game for a lot of other big ideas, especially a concept like sin. I mean, think about it. If all real goodness comes from one single source, what could even stand against it? So what is sin in this new way of looking at things? Well, according to this text, sin isn't about breaking rule number 7 on some list. Nope. Sin is the simple act of your own will asserting itself. It's that moment of I want that goes against the flow of the one divine will. It's basically the claim that you have a separate existence with separate desires.
And look, chapter 36 of the text asks this exact question. What is sin? And the answer it gives is pretty mind-blowing. It says sin is nothing other than that the created will wants differently than God. So see, it's not even about a specific action. It's about the very act of creating an other, of setting yourself apart from that divine unity.
And that, of course, leads to a whole new way of understanding suffering. It's not some kind of divine punishment for messing up. It's just the inevitable pain and friction you feel when you're disconnected from your source. It's like trying to swim upstream. The suffering is just the natural consequence of fighting the current you're meant to be flowing with.
So if we pull this all together, the big takeaway, the really counterintuitive message of the German theology is this. The spiritual journey isn't a self-improvement project. It's not about adding more virtues or more knowledge to your resume. It's a project of self-subtraction. The whole point is to get the self out of the way so that the one true good can finally shine through.
It's a really deep and honestly challenging idea. It totally flips our modern obsession with self-improvement and self-actualization right on its head. And it leaves us with a pretty powerful question to chew on. If that sense of a separate self really is the final barrier, what are you holding on to?